Welcome to Buckets, brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network, joined by Joe Dellera and Michael Fiddle. This is your Best Bets episode for Thursday, November 20th in the association. We'll do best bets. We'll give you props, sides, totals, lines, all sorts of good stuff to dive into on the Thursday slate. Glad to have you guys with us, whether you're joining us on the podcast version, where we do appreciate those 5-star reviews, or at youtube.com/the Action Network, where we're coming to you live Monday night through Thursday night every week. We will have some days off next week for the holiday. I'll let you know that next week. Reminder that everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. It's the best way for you to track your picks. You get up-to-the-second information where the bets and money you're coming in on. You can track. If you sign up for Action Pro, you get instant bets from Sean Kerner, who moves the lines like that, from Joe Dellera, who moves lines like that, from Brandon Anderson, who moves lines like that, from Michael Fiddle, who moves lines like that. All the guys are in there. Make sure to sign up for Action Pro and stay ahead of those line movements. Okay, we will very quickly talk about kind of our experiences and what we kind of discovered on Wednesday night. As I think my big thing here is just like, man, like the Rockets are a beast. Like for them to control that game on the road versus Cleveland was really impressive. Cavs have some problems for sure, but I continue to just be baffled by the fact that this Rockets offense is this good despite a high turnover rate. They're just mashing teams with offensive rebounds, and until there's a scouting report that can actually effectively counter them, it's pretty impressive. I had an awful night betting. I've had an awful week betting. I can't hit water if I fell off a boat right now. It's been absolutely wretched. Every impulse that I have where I'm like, I was like, well, okay, sure. The Hornets are terrible defensively, but come on, the Pacers. Nope. Pacers scored 70.5. I just can't find water right now. So keep that in mind when we get to our best bets. But Michael Fiddle, you've got something that I know you want to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I got to get something off my chest right now. And it's one stat throughout NBA discourse that absolutely pisses me off. And I will say it with, a little bit of calmness, and I'll try and go through it. But using lineups and saying things like, now that Giannis is out, one stat that I heard today is the Bucks have the best offensive rating in the league with Giannis on the court, and the worst offensive rating in the league when Giannis is off the court. And I wanted to rip my hair out when I heard that. And I'm like screaming like a ghost at the podcast that I'm listening to, being like, that's because you're using Bucks bench players. And when Giannis plays, he's also playing with Miles Turner, and he's also playing with Ryan Rollins and AJ Green and Kyle Kuzma and Bobby Portis. And the majority of all those players' minutes are with Giannis. So when Giannis is off the court, this is like some Thanasis minutes that we're comparing against other teams. Like, let's even use the Pacers. We're comparing that against the net rating with them having Siakam and Nembhard and Nesmith and so many, Mathurin, who's back and playing great. This is like crazy to me that we're using the Bucks bench against other teams' starting lineup. It drives me nuts. So what I did was I actually looked through and I sorted, okay, how many players in the NBA could you actually say when this player's on the court, they have the best offensive rating in the league, just comparing them to other teams? Giannis was fucking 40th. There are 13 other teams with players that you can use that same trope for. Here are 5 other players where you can say, when this player is on the court, this team has the best offensive rating in the league. You ready? Number 1, Joe, this is for you, Mitchell Robinson.
GOAT.
Number 2, Matt, this is for you, Peyton Watson. Number 3, Josh Okogie, go Rockets. Number 4, Gabe Vincent. 5, Jordan Walsh. You can use it. It is meaningless. Like I honestly understand some of the lineup-based stats, and I think Zach Lowe, who, Matt, I know is a friend of yours, does a really good job like isolating lineup stats, and when these 5 are on the court or when these 3, and he always puts the caveat of oh, with the Pacers are going to be missing Halliburton, it is true that Nesmith and Nembhard historically have a positive net rating without Halliburton. That's often because they're going against opposing teams' twos. And so we need to contextualize that in a little bit. And so when I heard as a reason why the Bucks are going to be abysmal in this 2-week stretch without Giannis, and it's because they have the best offensive rating with Giannis and the worst offensive rating without him, it was just brutal. Like, that is so meaningless. It's in one ear, out the other. There's 39 other players you could say that for.
This is why I wish EPM was up, actually, because one of the things that EPM does is actually adjust for who you play with. And that's like a really relevant stat. It's one of the things that BPM is actually don't tell certain people, but it's missing. Like, that's an issue with that stat, is like it's non-contextual. RAPM is another one that does a really good job of that. And like, you'll have like better kind of contextualized numbers. As an example, even though it's not like an extremely awesome number, you've got these lineup combos without Giannis that have actually generated like pretty good numbers. Like, you can generate some pretty good numbers without Giannis on the floor, because you do have those other starters. It is kind of interesting in that I looked at, because Giannis is out for this little stretch of time, I've looked at some numbers that have kind of indicated that there's a little bit of a trend towards the under on the Bucks team total when he's out. But the problem with that is it's only strong in the Dame games. Like, if Dame played and Giannis was out, their team total under was a really solid trend. But if you remove those and just Dame is either out or not on the team, the data washes out and you get a sample that basically says like, yeah, they're about even, over under spread. Like, there's not like a huge edge, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in best bets. Joe, you got anything tonight?
In terms of what I saw, nothing too crazy right now. Just the biggest thing is I think, like, to go into what Fiddle was talking about, I do think that that's like really important information and really important context that you need to add to your analysis, with all the star players in particular being out right now. And I think that that's even more like directly relevant, honestly, in terms of how you're capping games or how you're capping situations, whether it's lineups or teams or, spreads, what have you. I think it's really important to always add a little bit of context to the numbers. So I think it's great to be able to say it's not as plain and simple as, just one stat. You do need to oftentimes dive into it a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, we're going to do some best bets. We'll get into that on the Thursday slate. Got a lot of good ones for you. But first, the Buckets Podcast is teamed up with DraftKings Sportsbook, where new customers can bet $5 and get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. Stay in on the action and use your bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. To get started, use promo code BucketsNBA when signing up with DraftKings. Again, use code BucketsNBA when signing up and bet $5 to get $200 back in bonus bets if your bet wins, plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. The crown is yours. All right, let's get to some best bets for the Thursday slate. Joe Dellera, let's start with your 3-star bet of the night.
I'm going to be on Zubac over 10.5 rebounds. He's been hitting this really at a pretty consistent clip so far this season. Started off a little bit slow, but after that, he's really been rolling. He's averaging 10.8 rebounds per game, hitting this in 9 out of 14 games so far. But like I said, the first 3 games just didn't really even come close. I think he just had a rough start to the season. Since then, 9 for 11 to start the year for Zoo. I think this is a good spot for him against this Orlando Magic team. They don't take like a ton of threes. I think that they try to get into the paint. They try to take some more shots at the rim. And I think that that's a good opportunity for him to really clean up on the glass. And some similar players to him, Şengün had 12 rebounds against this same team. And then obviously Mitchell Robinson, monster on the glass, but plays limited minutes, and he still recorded 8 rebounds when the Knicks played them a few days ago as well. So I think Zoo is in a good spot. He's had double-digit rebounds in really the wide majority of his games so far this season, and he's still coming off some pretty strong performances. And it's backed up by the rebound chances are also there. It's not just that he's getting good rebounding luck, I would say. I think that he's actually just the clear best rebounding option on this Clippers team. And now with James Harden kind of in tow, I think that he's a little bit more involved in the offense. He's getting some more putback opportunities. And, I think that you feel a little bit better. You get some more chances when you're on offense, get a little bit more effort on the defensive side of the ball. So I like Zoo to go over the 10.5 rebounds in the spot against the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I mean, the data kind of says that the Magic are a pretty good rebounding team, but Zoo's an excellent rebounder. I can't hate on this one at all. An interesting kind of like side note here, the Magic are the number one team in offensive free throw rate. And like, how does that correlate here? Because if you miss a rebound, the Magic are not going to contest for the offensive rebound. So Zoo's going to grab all those. That's like a nice, easy kind of boost there. It's just on the free throw chances to be able to get
great little lad. Yeah.
Yeah, so nice, like that one. Anytime we can bet Zoo, enjoy that. Michael Fiddle, what do you got for me?
I'm going to go with the Philadelphia 76ers -2.5 as my 3-star best bet. It is a light 4-game slate, so I do want to say off the top, like 3-star for me today is about a 3/4 unit bet. 2-star for me is probably a half unit bet, and the 1-star is probably a quarter unit bet. There's nothing that screams large value to me, but I do think this is a good spot for the 76ers. They've been surprisingly good in bad rest spots, and you have to kind of wean off the bad rest spot a little bit, because even though it's a 3 and 4 and a back-to-back, they're likely getting Paul George and Joel Embiid active tomorrow, and that's what the market is starting to indicate, and they weren't tonight. So a lot of the young guys are going to be playing on that 3 and 4 and back-to-back, and some of the veterans are going to be fresher in this spot. So I still have Embiid worth 3 points against the spread versus in versus out. So I do think that will make a difference if he's actively ruled in. I still have Paul George worth 1 point against the spread. I think Jared McCain, who came back today, will likely play again because he was out with a hand injury. I don't think this is going to be something where he can't play a back-to-back. So I'm looking at this and saying that the 76ers should have an upper hand. It's not actually a bad schedule spot like it seems. So 3/4 of a unit, 3-star play for me. 76ers -2.5. I still do think closes ahead.
Yeah, I looked at how the Bucks do with Doc with the opponents on a back-to-back, and there's not really like an indicator of there's nothing, unfortunately, for me to be able to pull out and kind of blame Glenn Rivers for as far as them underperforming. They're slightly under 500, but it's mostly about even. It's 4-5-1 with the Bucks. Doc historically, however, not great when this team actually has a rest advantage. I don't know what that says, but it's just kind of been like an interesting little trend that I've picked up over a longer track of time. I am curious about this. What are they with when an Embiid plays against the spread? Do you have that number, Fiddle?
No, I know they were 5-0 without him against the spread earlier.
They're actually 4-2 when he plays this season. ATS and straight up.
I mean, just I'm gonna get into. I'm just gonna go ahead and tease my 1-star since I'm on it as well. And I rarely find reason to like the 76ers, let alone bet a spread. But I do think that this is a good spot for them against this Milwaukee Bucks team. I think that the Bucks, it's like you get that opportunity with when you have the star player out, the team kind of can rally around whatever like that situation is. It gets a lot more difficult when that reality starts setting in, and it's like, man, like we've really had to pick up a lot of usage. Like this was not an easy task for us when Giannis is such a usage monster on really both sides of the floor. So I think that it's a little bit more difficult for them. And then looking at Philly, I do think that it's taking some time for them to get, all acclimated to each other. But I think that Paul George is a pretty easy fit for this team. As long as he's willing to accept maybe a slightly smaller role, what he provides in terms of his size, length, and athleticism, I think is significant. It is really his specific skill set is one that Philadelphia kind of needs. They do need a bigger body like at the 4 that you could run out there for a little bit more length. They have a lot of smaller guards, and I think that Paul George's ability to spot up, also create his own shot if necessary, but also create for his teammates is really important. So I think that he's somebody that can just naturally fit into the team. And obviously Embiid, when he's on the floor, he's still fantastic. It's just getting him on the floor. So maybe at the end of the day, this works out for them throughout the course of the season where, maybe Embiid never really plays more than 30 minutes at the most. But either way, when he's out there, if he's fresh, I can't imagine it really being a bad thing for Philadelphia. So I think that they're just kind of hitting their health, whereas Milwaukee is kind of trending in the opposite direction as well.
Minus 0.7 net rating with Joel on the floor this season, but some of that's skewed by the early season stuff where he was absolutely atrocious. He's been better. I will say, is he still in the minutes restriction, Joe?
It seems like he's been slowly working up, but I don't know if we're ever going to see a 35, 40 minute game from Embiid.
I will just tell you, I'll just tell you, if they're down and Embiid hits his minutes limit and goes to the bench and it's he's done for the night, I might live bet Sixers. I just love their comebacks whenever he's off the floor. They played so much more free and so much more clear. I'm not trying to hate on Joel. It's just I love the way the Sixers play without him.
Yeah. And I will.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, I will say a Nick Nurse minutes limit is a real minutes limit. It's not whatever Kobe White's minutes limit was when he first came back and then he played into double overtime and went over his minutes limit by about 25%. With Joel Embiid, that minutes restriction is pretty hard and fast. So I think that you do have a lot more clarity, especially if there is an opportunity for overtime, which here, it's a close spread. Maybe there is an opportunity there. I know I'm tempting you with the devil here, Matt. But I do think that, the Embiid minutes restriction is a little bit more set than some other players.
I don't trust my preseason number on the Sixers because it's too messed up by last year's figures. So that preseason weight is, even with my adjustments I've made on it, I don't have a lot of confidence in it. My in-season number on this is 3.9. I got Giannis at 2.5 to the spread. So this to me looks like I have Bucks favored either way, and I don't like that. I just don't feel good enough about it. This one might be an overtime play. I might put a tenth of a unit on an overtime play here because I do have it within that kind of one possession margin. Mine for the night is going to be Zach Edey over rebounds, any number. It's not out yet as we wait here as we're doing the live show. So I'll just tell you, whatever that number is, I like the over. Kings have one of the worst defensive rebound rates in the league. That shouldn't be surprising. They have one center, and Demonis is about fed up with all this nonsense. Rebounding is also centrally about effort, and I don't know if you know this, but the Kings don't really want to try because the entire organization is a dumpster fire. Team is on its way out, but that's a narrative cap. This is just Edey's. He's a monster. He's a monster, and he's a big part of the franchise from ownership's perspective, or from management's perspective, I should say. And that's why Tomas Isalo is in charge. And the one guy I think he will play is going to be Zach Edey. You don't have to worry about Jaren taking away rebounds because Jaren doesn't rebound. You don't have to worry about any of the wings because outside of Santi Aldama, they really don't. I think this is a soft spot. I will take Edey over rebounds as a prop for my best bet, which should let you know how desperate I am to try and find plays tonight. Is I am taking a prop for my best bet, which is that things are bleak out here on these streets for me. Let's go to our 2 and our 1 stars. Joe, you already gave out your 1-star play on the Sixers. What's your 2-star for the night?
Yeah, so I'm going to be on Onyeka Okongwu over 15.5 points. He's been just chucking threes up and to really good success lately. His last, really looking at his last couple games, he has been excellent shooting from beyond the arc. And I think that is something that is really important for his ceiling and in terms of what kind of lineups he can play in. I think that it's important that we get that opportunity. So over his last couple games, 4 for 7 from 3, 3 for 9, 8 for 14, and then even 2 for 3. So there's actually been a lot of consistency in those. He scored over 20 points in all 4 of those games. Slightly weaker opponents, except for Detroit, I would say. Detroit obviously is still a strong team. But I do think that there's something to take away from that, even with a potential return of Kristaps Porzingis. So while Porzingis may cut into his minutes slightly, I'm not convinced that it will happen right away. Porzingis is somebody that I think Atlanta is trying to handle with like some type of kid gloves to a degree, similar to Joel Embiid. They really want him for the flexibility down the stretch. They want him for a playoff opportunity. And Okongwu is more than willing to kind of eat up some of these minutes. Additionally, Okongwu is somebody that, we talked about for Sixth Man of the Year. Somebody that's coming off the bench. We're not seeing as much overlap with Porzingis generally, but what we actually are seeing though is is Okongwu when he does share the court with Porzingis, it's actually been a beneficial thing for him. He is seeing actually a little bit more scoring and more points per 100 possessions in on obviously smaller sample size, but he does score a little bit more with Porzingis as well. So I think that the 15.5 points isn't adequately adjusting for this uptick, this massive uptick in 3-point volume. And I'd imagine that given that consistent volume over the past couple of games, that's a conscious effort. That is something that Atlanta wants him to do. I think it's something that he's feeling strongly about doing. And then when you look at this San Antonio Spurs team, obviously no Victor Wembanyama. So I think that when you look at their defensive scheme and what they're going to be able to do, it's not as flexible. You have these core net minutes where you're pretty much playing in a drop. He's not the best. He's not going to be nearly as versatile defensively as Victor Wembanyama, as who is, right? And I do think that this is a good opportunity for Okongwu to go over this 15.5 points line. So I'm going to grab it, and I think the 3-point upside is a nice way to kind of boost the floor of this for Okongwu.
I want to take a look at what their defensive splits are like. Opponents are shooting 3.9, almost 4% better from a true shooting perspective with Wemby off the floor.
Yeah,
so Fiddle at the expense of the stat that the kind of stat structure that you hate. This is a more isolated figure.
That you could see that when they play, like they literally just don't even shoot shots in the paint against him.
No, and I also think too, looking at what the Spurs do, like Stephon Castle, also excellent defensive player. He's going to be out as well. So you really took you could argue that the 2 best defensive players on the Spurs are not playing in this game. And I think that is a reason that you can say Okongwu's going to be able to get better looks. He's going to get better opportunities. Going to be able to go over this line as well. So, and I think that might impact the game total as we might hear about.
I can't get there on my projection. I really wanted to take the Hawks. But it feels like I'm buying in at a high point with them, here in the spot. But I don't know if the Spurs without Wemby and Castle should be favored, or Harper. Like, they don't have any point guards. So seems like a problem versus a team that's as aggressive as the Atlanta Hawks. Maybe that's an angle to play for Dyson Daniels steals tomorrow with inexperienced ball handlers bringing the ball up the court. Michael Fiddle, your 2 and your 1 stars on the night.
So I love how you said they're lacking a true point guard for the San Antonio Spurs. I'm taking the over in Spurs Hawks because of my no point guard theory, going right back to the well that we gave out on Monday, which cashed. I actually believe that teams without their point guards might be targets for overs all of the sudden, because whoever gets the rebound immediately gets the ball up past half court and goes in transition. So whether that's Dyson, or whether that's Jalen Johnson, or whether on the Spurs side that's Sohan or Champagny, like whoever grabs said rebound is just going to start. You don't have the time where you're going to outlet it to your point guard. They're going to dribble it up. They're going to set up a half court offense. Their pick and roll rates are going to drop very fast. Like, they're going to be more like the Miami Heat offense, which is running no pick and rolls, and you see what's happening to their pace and possessions throughout games and what their over-unders have been like this season. So I actually like taking overs when the point guards are already priced out. So like we knew Trey was out. We knew Castle and Harper were out. So that comes in to the opening line. I actually think they become buy points once it's been priced in to then say, actually, this is an over spot. So current best line is actually 230, which I'm totally fine with. DraftKings has it at 230.5, which I'm totally fine with. I think my stopping point is 231.5. So like pretty much anything out there in the market right now. And I'm going to be going no point guard theory over on Atlanta, San Antonio, running it back from the Atlanta game on Monday, which worked out pretty well. And then my 1 star, should I just go straight into it?
Go for it.
My 1 star is actually a very rare angle for me to take, but I think it's undoubtedly plus EV, and there's some very interesting stats behind it, which I do think you guys are going to like. Wendell Carter Jr. first basket at DraftKings is plus 860. So for anyone here watching the live show, this is a golden nugget. There's no way that this is going to last, throughout and tomorrow afternoon and before tip-off. Wendell Carter Jr. wins the tip-off 86.7% of the time. It is one of the highest rate, if not the highest, in the NBA. On the other side of that, Zubac wins it 28.6% of the time. So do we think the Orlando Magic are going to win the tap? Like, this is probably one of the strongest spots. Then you go one step further. Wendell Carter Jr. takes the first shot of the game, first shot attempted 33% of the time. He's made it 4 different games, and he's got 27% hit rate on being the first basket scorer in the game through the Magic's first 15 games. So at plus 860, nearly 9-1, you're paying for a 10% chance, close in implied probability. This is where we talk about like math versus ball knowledge, and Joe was talking about this earlier today on his podcast, and it's like a nice merging of this is clearly an expected value above the implied probability, and then you add some ball knowledge to this, and like they're gonna win the tip. Wendell Carter Jr. gets the first shot attempt just as much as Franz. Paolo's out for this game, so we have to take out his sample size throughout the season. And this becomes a really strong Wendell Carter Jr. spot. So plus 860 is like a true no-brainer.
Twist my arm, man.
I'm in.
I'm in.
Great. It's awesome. That's a phenomenal cap for Michael Fiddle. That is why he's the maestro of the market. That was a terrific cap on a really fun market. So I love it when Fiddle takes a non-traditional market and just like puts the screws to it. It's a beautiful thing to watch. My 2 and my 1 stars. So I'm taking Grizzlies minus 2.5. Kings are coming off of playing the Thunder. These teams that have played OKC and are on the road afterwards. This is a weird thing that I've been tracking the last couple of seasons. It normalized last year because some of these lines got a little crazy in terms of the Thunder impact. Playing OKC basically makes you miserable. Like, it makes you unhappy and makes you hate life. And that's why they tend to perform badly in the game afterwards. This was not just a 1-year trend. This is a 3-year running trend of performance, especially after playing OKC on the road. So for the Kings to be in this kind of position, not a great kind of situation for them. The Kings have been bad on back-to-backs in general over the last 3 seasons, and this is basically the same core, give or take. No De'Aaron Fox, obviously, but a lot of the same kind of teams. This to me, and also Memphis surprisingly has done very well, even under Tomas Asalo versus teams with a pace greater than 105. They play very well versus fast teams. So I make this number safely in the range here. So I'm going to go ahead and take Grizzlies minus 2.5. I'm also going to play, this is my 1 star. God help me. I'm taking the Clippers plus 5. I don't like trying to catch the falling knife. That's something I try and stay away from. It's like, I would rather wait for Orlando to kind of fizzle out of this hot streak they've been on since the Bane game winner and then come in and bet against them. But the spot is too good here. This is like a rock bottom spot with the Clippers as more than a possession dog on the road versus the Magic. I don't know that it's like it doesn't feel awesome to bet the Clippers, but at the same time, I also can't find a lot of reasons why this is like an absolutely horrific spot. Clippers are actually top 10 in road spread rate this season. Their spread win percentage on the road is actually 9th best, tied for 9th. Magic is at 23rd. Even with this little bump recently, they haven't been infallible ATS. So I am willing to go ahead and God help me, bet on the Clippers both +5 and on the money line. So we'll see how that one goes tonight. Okay, to recap the bets, and we'll give you our DraftKings parlay of the night. Joe Dellera likes Ivica Zubac over 10.5 rebounds. Onyeka Okongwu over 15.5 points. And the Sixers -2.5. I like Zach Edey over rebounds, any number. Grizzlies -2.5. And the Clippers +5. Fiddle likes Sixers -2.5 as his 3-star. Hawks and Spurs over 229.5. And Wendell Carter Jr. first basket +860. Those are your best bets for the Thursday slate. We do have, however, a DraftKings Sportsbook parlay on the night. We all kind of agreed to. We're going to do a money line parlay, and we're going to do Grizzlies -142, the Sixers -125, and the LA Clippers +190. It's a good spot. If they cover, they're likely to win the game outright. Grizzlies against the Kings, Sixers against the Bucks without Giannis, and the Clippers on the money line. +789 is your parlay at DraftKings Sportsbook, because the crown is yours. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Appreciate you guys being with us. Make sure to check out the show tomorrow night. We'll be back with you for another Best Bets episode tomorrow, 11 o'clock Eastern on YouTube. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review. Follow Joe Dellera at Joe Dellera, and catch him in the Cash That podcast, which he's about to go record right now, so you can listen to that in the morning as well. Michael Fiddle at Fiddle's Picks. He's got his betting show every day on Twitter at 11 a.m. Eastern. Yes, Fiddle?
Correct.
11 a.m. Eastern on his channel at Fiddle's Picks. Appreciate you guys being with us. My thanks to David Payne, our producer. We'll see you guys again next time. Till then, let's get bucket.